What's up? Good evening. Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well. Was speaking to one of our clients who is executing on the chairman strategy. Figure I would share the deal that they just closed. Actually, we've had a couple people that are in AC that are leveraging this strategy, but one in particular I want to talk about. First, I'll talk about the original place that I came up with this. Most of you folks that are in the Patreon are familiar with this deal, but the way that this whole kind of strategy came about was a buddy of mine had an uncle who was selling a locksmith business, and the locksmith business basically was just a just it was just a one person employee. It was him. He was the other person doing the work. They didn't have many assets, and in most cases, I would walk away from a deal like that. And so I'll tell you what I did with that, how it led to the chairman strategy, and then talk about this latest deal. But before I get into that, be sure to hit the like button, say hello in the chat. I love when y'all say hi. And if you're not a subscriber, definitely come over and subscribe. So the very first deal that led to all of this was that locksmith deal, and I basically told my buddy, like, hey, like I normally don't buy businesses like that. There may be something that we can do, or maybe there's an asset in the business that we can help him exit. And after looking at the business, there really wasn't anything besides the van. He wasn't going to get much money for that. And I realized that his most valuable asset was his Google listing, and he had really great ratings, had been in business for years and years and years. And the only downside was, what in the world was I going to do with that asset? Obviously, you had people that were calling that were interested in this locksmith kind of service or whatever, and they liked him. They liked the reviews, and so like he had this reputation. But in order to leverage that, I needed to basically be a locksmith. And so what we came up with was basically a triangulation strategy where we found some people who were kind of didn't have as high a ranking in Google as he did, and hadn't built up as many favorable reviews as he did. And not to say they had bad reviews. We wanted to work with somebody who had good reviews. But at the end of the day, they just, most of the time we're newer. So we kind of went through, we saw the ones that had the really great reviews, and we reached out to them. We made a deal. We basically made a deal with them that we would send them business in return for 35% is where we started of those costs. Now, the reason that I feel like this strategy is a little bit different than most strategies is, like, obviously in that case, we didn't necessarily have to buy his business. We gave him a cut of the income. We took a cut of the income. We did pay him over time for the business. But the truth is, we didn't need to buy the business. And that was my realization. My realization was, I could have done this with anybody, right? Like, I could have done this with a lot of people who have access to a database or access to a traffic source, access to a customer base. And I could partner with somebody else and send that traffic to the other person. And like we ended up in the locksmith case, sit back and collect a check, which is the goal. That's why I call this a chairman's check, because we're not getting into marketing. We didn't do any SEO work. We weren't trying to figure out how to become locksmiths. It was a very kind of seamless and elegant deal. Now, the cool thing now is we're doing this with business where we're not even buying the business, which that part has been really cool. So one of the examples is, I've got a client right now who's doing a deal with, and it's actually a past member of AHC. And so now she's doing a deal with her gym, and basically just start a conversation with the owner of the gym. And she saw that there was a space in the gym, and she had previously been a member at another gym where they had a juice bar. And so the other gym was basically going out of business. And so the juice bar, who had an owner that she was friends with, was going to be out of this location. So she's talking to this owner, and he says, hey, like, what, have you ever considered having a juice bar located in here? What would that look like? What would that take? Da, 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 da. Is that something that you would be interested in? And the owner basically said, yeah, I would love that. What would that take? What do I need to do? Da, 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 da. And so here's something that is really cool. And this just takes looking at a lot of business kind of understanding. But most of the time, if you have somebody who's going to do a lease, then you get leasehold improvement allowance. And so basically, the person that you're going to lease from, you can negotiate to say, I want you to pay me to fix the property the way that I need it. So in all of my like retail deals and things like that, that was like a definite, because I was trying to keep if we were doing a rehab or on the business and fixing up things, I wanted to get the money for us to do it from them. And so long story short, what we negotiated with this gym is that she's going to get leasehold improvements of the gym that's basically $20,000. The estimate for what it's going to take to do this very simple juice bar is probably going to be about $12,000 and $12,500. And so the plan is she'll get $7,500 upfront payment for kind of putting the whole thing together, kind of managing, getting the store in there. And then, so that was kind of the payment that she received from the landlord. On the other side, she's getting the juice bar owner this space. And so basically she's with her, it's like, hey, if I can negotiate a deal and get you a space, would you be willing to give me a 5% royalty? And so, this creates a deal where she's getting some money on the front end and some money just ongoingly. And I think, one of the cool things there is, and why, this isn't just kind of a one-time thing. I don't like to do these as one-time things. Like what I like to do is now I want to work with that person to do more and more of those. This is the same case on a deal that we're doing in Medellin, which is a protein shake business. And so the idea is that we're putting this in a lot of different locations, because once you figured out something, and you can do a deal with somebody else who already owns the business, and they're going to grow by putting together locations, and you can go out and find those locations and do those deals, and in some cases even get paid up front. This is one of my favorite of the 10 chairman strategies. So I wanted to share that with y'all and let you know I can't believe that August is almost done, but I want to let you know, for those of you that are in Patreon, if you're not, you should definitely join. We got this award, one of the highest retention rates of any Patreon membership because we give such great value. But in addition to just the normal value, next month we're going to be doing training where we're going to go over some more of these 10 different chairman strategies. So if that is something that you're interested in, acechapman.com, come hang out with us. Let's see what Frank said before we bounce out of here. Great stuff, Ace. Learning a ton of stuff around private equity. Thank you. Awesome. This was one of the ways that we generated really great returns with the private equity funds back in the day. If you can generate returns without having to put in money, that helps you to get some really great returns. These are the things I share with you guys, the stuff I wish I knew early on. I think there are a lot of people that are really just focused on buying businesses, and that's just a small portion of what you want to be doing when you're creating your acquisition holdco and your deal making business. I wish I knew that early on. I wish I was leveraging some of these other tools and had them in my tool belt. And so I want to share them with y'all. Check out the Patreon, and hopefully I'll see you on this upcoming call.